we are kind of at a tipping point a little bit
Mhm.
in book world. So the New York Times Book Review cut ties with a freelance reviewer named Alex Preston after they discovered that he used AI in his book review in the New York Times. And it was found that he really heavily pulled from another review in The Guardian, who also are the ones who broke this story. I'm sure that was very flagged by their systems. And so they have completely cut ties with him. He apologized very adamantly. I will read his quote from a newsletter interview he did. He said, "The short version is that I had written a draft review of the book, but it was under length and I was rushing badly and drowning slightly. I made the stupid decision to use an AI tool to help expand and smooth it with instructions about US spelling and house style at the New York Times, which I always get wrong." Okay. So I have a lot of thoughts about that. So I am a freelance books writer. I have never been fortunate enough to write a review for the New York Times. I also don't typically do a lot of straight reviews, but that's not the point. For anyone who doesn't know, the New York Times Book Review is basically like the best thing you could hope for your book. Getting like a rave review is like a dream bucket list thing for most authors. And for most writers, getting to write for the New York Times Book Review is sort of like a pinnacle of your book writing career. And so to see someone who could not write 1,000 words, that's what it was. He couldn't get to 1,000 words. That's like not even, it's like 2 pages.
Mm.
You are doing this for the prestige, for like love of the game. And so to see someone using AI for that, I think is just like really, really soul crushing. So that is coming on the heels of the Shy Girl scandal. And then Curtis Brown Literary Agency, who's one of the big literary agencies, voiced concern that editors at publishing houses are essentially putting manuscripts that Curtis Brown submits to them and putting them into ChatGPT or other AI programs and summarizing them, making decisions based on them. We don't really know all the details, but regardless, putting confidential, not yet published information into these LLMs, which could then, in theory, impact future deals because of all the said reasons. All of these things are happening at once. You sort of have one on the agency side, one on the review journalism side, one on the publisher side. I really think when it comes to books, to publishing, to literary merit and how we talk about them and the publications we hold up to esteem, it's like simply we have to be better. We have to say that is not how we operate. We are going to take the time and the energy because we are the community that understands the value. And so it's kind of heartbreaking to me to see that editors, looking at submissions or an author getting a big book deal or a reviewer getting a dream reviewing gig are squandering those to use AI when there's so many people who would gladly do it and are talented and could do it without AI.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. I'll also throw in that I saw that somebody got flagged as being AI, and they're like, the only reason that that would happen is if Google Docs was feeding into, ChatGPT or one of these AI services. And they're like, I no longer, write anything on Google Docs because I don't trust the system anymore. As you're talking about this process of like Curtis Brown saying that like some of the publishing houses are uploading the documents to ChatGPT, they get put into ChatGPT as a system, and who's to say that they won't later get flagged as being written by AI, right? So I'm sure we're going to start seeing, I think, people get caught up in,
A
AI
lot.
scandals that maybe didn't even use
Totally.
AI, but like they're getting caught up in it because other people are getting caught up in it. I do think there needs to be a separation between like stuff that goes on social media and like whatever, like who cares, but like books and like actual art from like people, I would like that to be, handmade, handwritten
Yeah.
by people or typed out, whatever.
It's like a smoothing over of
Mhm.
everything in life. I mean,
Yeah,
there was that amazing New Yorker article about friction maxing or
right.
whatever. And I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like kind of again the point. Like, all right, you want to smooth out all the marketing copy, go knock your socks off. But like,
Mhm.
not everything should be the same. Not everything
Yeah,
is supposed to sound the same. I always think
yeah.
about people who are like, you could read a summary of this book in 3 minutes. Why
I
would you read
know.
the book? And it's like, okay, so actually, that's not the point.
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah,
point
yeah.
of this is not the fastest generation to a story.
Yeah.
And so it's like that's why I find it so frustrating because I think these people all understand that intellectually. And so it really just comes off to me as cheating.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, and that's basically what it comes down to, right? Where it's like, oh, and it wasn't me, it was my editor. It wasn't me, it's the junior, like,
Well,
employee that's not
yeah.
doing it, right? And it's like, okay, but that's coming down from the top, right? There are decisions being made that like are allowing for this to happen, right? And I think like one of the things here that like, is concerning is that like if we say that authors have to like write the book, but then they get caught up because their literary agent or their publisher, uses the
It's a
AI to do
nightmare.
something for their book, then like who gets blamed for that, right? Because for the Shy Girl Hachette scandal, like the biggest thing that I saw there was like, okay, but Hachette like at no point questioned any of this, like whether it was
Yeah.
like
And
AI
they should be
written.
embarrassed about it. They
Right.
really should. I think it's unacceptable. And like, look, I will say, like, editors are wildly underpaid for the most part,
Mm-mm.
overworked, and like that is all true. It's
Right.
still not to me what's so confusing is this was a self-published book. And from I have not read it, I have no plans to read it, but from the passages I've seen, it does
Yeah.
not look like it was written well. And so why did Hachette not say, "We understand it's already popular as a self-published title, but in order to be popular, we need it to be a little bit higher standard."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I I push back on I push back on the needed to be a higher quality because E.L. James, who wrote the 50 Shades
No,
series,
I
and Colleen
know.
Hoover, who writes all those books, those are not very well written.
No, I know,
um,
but I think it's like that
so
really like stilted AI. Like, why were they not reading
yeah,
it and being like, I guess higher quality was the wrong way to put it. Like, why had they
yeah,
not read it and been like, something needs to be changed in this? Like,
yeah,
something's off. Because I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
explain to you, like, when you work at a publisher, like, a lot of people read the book. Like, this was a
Mm,
buzzy book. Like, a lot of people would have read this. So I'm
yeah.
really confused about how this gets this far without
See, and
anything.
that's the biggest thing I was thinking. So it's good to know that it is confirmed from somebody who has worked in a publishing house that it does go through levels. Because I mean, I think we
I
see
don't
that
think
even
so.
with like AI scandals in like the tech world. I mean, we're seeing right now a tech scandal with this company called Delve who does like compliance stuff, right? And they were like a YC darling, and then they were just removed from like the YC like website. And then the Delve founders came out and put a video saying that they're seeing the things, they're changing their process, nothing alluding to like the actual allegations of what they did and like any of that. But the point is that like nowhere along the way have any of the investors of Delve come out to say, oh, we got this wrong, or maybe the system that we're creating is pushing them to have to
In what world? Yeah.
do these, come up with these fake numbers and like say that they're being compliant in order to
Yeah.
reach the like the milestones that you want for a VC funded company, right? And I
Mhm.
think a similar thing can be said about like, the publishing industry where it's like you want to get those big buzzy books that like you already know have an audience,
Mhm.
bring them in house, and then just like publish them without putting them through the stringent process that you do all the other
Totally.
books that you have to do. But then also you're getting more books than ever and you have to edit them, you have to do all this stuff, and you're trying to cut back on the number of people that you're hiring to do the work, so
Yep.
you use AI to help you do it, not realizing that you're just tainting the entire system, because where does the trust go if they can't trust that the big publishing houses that are supposed to be have the integrity and have the like eliteness, right? Because this is the thing
Preach.
that you would
Yes. Like,
you would have
yes.
the eliteness to be like, no, we do not fuck with AI because that ruins the entire system for us included.
Yes.
And then, you're using it yourself to cut back on like your time and not have to hire actual humans to do the work. It's funny because it's like the people in publishing had to know this because their audience would be some of the most anti-AI usage people out there. If there's like a circle of like, people
Yep.
to not use AI and people that read books, those are pretty much going to overlap. So it's very surprising that they thought that they could kind of just sneaky, do it on
That's
the down
yeah.
low.
I think this is the tip of the iceberg. I think we're gonna see ones that are less obvious than the New York Times Book Review Guardian one,
Mhm,
where it was someone being like, it was just so obvious. This
mhm,
was like a direct thing. And I'm curious about the more subtle ones where people are gonna really need to sort of like explain writing style. I saw someone yesterday on Twitter say that the Oxford comma is a tell of AI. And I
Oh,
was
yeah.
just like,
Mhm.
you can take it from my cold dead hands. Like,
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
for
yeah.
clarity. Like,
Yeah,
what are you
yeah, yeah.
talking about?
I mean, they took the M dash from us, so
They did not take the M dash from me.
yeah, right. Any proper grammar or writing styles are pretty much gonna become the tell. I've been talking to other marketers and they're like, "I leave in typos now in my tweets and social media posts to show that there's a real human behind, these posts." Or I saw another one that said that I no longer use capitalization because that's another tell that like, AI is, writing proper sentences.
To bring it around to the point for marketers, which is that I think people are really hungry for things that feel human made. So I work in social, running a social media team, and I talk about this a lot. Our stuff has
Mhm,
to feel like it comes from people. Apple just put out a big ad where they like made it shooting through the glass. And, a lot of it's lip service. Like, it's Apple. They have plenty of
mhm,
AI, but I think we're
mhm,
going to really see things made by humans like held up to this higher
mhm,
standard. And so I see it across social all the time. Teams will put, if something looks almost too unreal, I'll now
mhm.
see it in the caption, like, this was
Yeah.
made by our social team. People
Mhm,
want you to know that it's not AI. And so I think looking for those opportunities to make things that feel very tactile and person led and human made, and to make that not just, oh, it's not, marketing copy written by AI, where sometimes that's like, who can even tell, I sound like AI sometimes when I write that stuff. But, but what are these moments where you can really see it and feel that? And so I feel like I'm hoping that industries like publishing are going to hold themselves up and really,
Yeah.
make that super purposeful. But I think that the lesson absolutely applies outside of book world.
Mhm. There are elite industries and, like, luxury industries that can't use AI the way that, companies that don't care, can, right?
Mhm.
And I'm seeing that now as, like, Hollywood, right? Like, we just had that, huge battle with, Project Hail Mary and, like, the whole idea of, like, them doing visual effects and using a puppet instead of using CGI and
They like film things in light boxes,
right, exactly.
like
So that where it's like they're filming the actual thing instead of
practical
using CGI.
effects is what it's
Practical
called.
effects. There
Yes.
you go.
No, it's amazing.
Thank you. No, no, no. Totally. So seeing, those like movies do so well, right? Because people are like, yes, I want to see art and I want to see like,
Mhm.
handmade human craft and how that all comes together to show me these gorgeous, beautiful shots. We're creating these things based off the ideas that humans have. And that's where it's like AI can't do that, Like,
Yeah.
how is AI going to translate human vision into actual practical effects, right? And I think that that's the separation that we have movies, we have publishing now where it's
Mhm.
like, I want humans to be writing these books.
Yeah.
We have fashion, we, saw the huge like backlash against Gucci, where it's
Ooh,
like, okay, if you're going to be a luxury brand that's charging luxury prices, then you better be fucking making things, right? Like Shein, yes, go ahead, use AI because you're AI slop anyway, right?
sure.
So that's a thing where it's like you as a company have to think about, do we want to be on the side of like human
Mhm.
made, like human creation, storytelling, craft, or are we okay with being associated with AI and AI
Mhm.
slop and lower
Yeah.
prices and lower like barriers to entry?
It's a
That's the
branding
thing.
choice,
Yeah.
really.
Mhm. Yeah, 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 for sure. So figure that out. And then also, we were talking about this last week because I do feel that like marketers are kind of like on the front lines of that, where
Mhm.
you're the ones that are going to get, the commentary from your audience because you're on social media, you're hearing the surveys, and so you have to be able to go up to, leadership and tell them, hey, this is probably going to,
Yeah,
bring us backlash that like people are not going to accept us and then speak to the numbers. And then now you have a whole bunch of case studies, showing the
definitely.
backlash. So, keep all these examples in your back pocket to bring it up to leadership to be like, hey, maybe we shouldn't go about it this way.
Definitely.
Okay.